Hello, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel like the host of Saturday Night Live. I know we have great conversations going on, but we're going to get started again on the program. And before I introduce Dana to kick us off for what is another terrific group of speakers and panels, I did want to, guys, I know it's so tempting, just keep talking. There's lots of opportunity to keep the conversations going. I did want to just, I don't want to put her on the spot, but I am. I just wanted to give a shout out to Sharon Shapiro. Last night, President Mills had thanked the Ruderman Family Foundation, and Sharon, you got a big shout out, but you weren't there. So Sharon is here with us today. Once again, thank you so much, Sharon, for all your support. I'm going to hand it over to Dana.
Welcome back, everyone. We are now shifting gears from conversation to creation. As college leaders, you share a common challenge. How do we move from aspiration to action in building a university culture that truly prioritizes well-being? So in this session, we're going to be applying design principles, which is very different for us. This is new territory, to the challenges we face on our campuses, using a structured approach to problem solving and innovation. This is the first of 2 working sessions, and we are fortunate to have an exceptional facilitator here to guide us through them. Urmila Venkatesh is a coach, facilitator, and assistant director of alumni career education at Stanford University. Over her 25-year career, she has held leadership positions at Stanford, the New School for Social Research, and the University of Michigan. Most recently, she was a fellow at Stanford's Life Design Lab, which is where we encountered her, and assistant dean of career education for PhDs and postdocs, where she helps scholars develop meaningful careers. Her work is deeply rooted in design thinking, storytelling, reflective practices, and experiential learning. She's committed to advancing educational equity and well-being, with a particular focus on supporting international students, first-generation students, and women of color. With that, I will hand it over to Urmila.
All right. Get myself set up here. Hello, and it is such an honor to be here. With such limited time, I'm just going to say I would not be part of this community if I hadn't been sitting on a bus in the middle of Denmark with Rick and Keith's wife. And that has borne a really beautiful relationship from there. So you could ask me about that story later. So really, really happy to be here. I'm incredibly impressed with the knowledge in this room, and actually it makes me very excited then to get you all talking a little bit to each other, sharing knowledge, maybe learning some new things that you hadn't thought about before. So I'm just going to jump right in to what we're doing first. So. Public service announcement, I have a love-hate relationship with design thinking. I was trained as a designer. I've seen it work wonders. I've seen it be deployed in ways that I can't get behind. But today, what I want to do is extract the pieces of it that have been very, very helpful to students at Stanford and others when it is applied to how we solve wicked problems. Wicked problems are the ones that keep changing every time you get a little more information. Helping our students with their well-being, our own well-being, is a problem that changes every time we find out what well-being means to us. And because it changes, we need some mindsets to help us through that process. So today I want you to think of yourselves not only as representing your institution and all of the roles and responsibilities that you hold in that role, in that institution, but today think of yourself as team well-being. So all of you are here because you have some degree of commitment to making this happen for your students. And so I want you to think about yourselves as players on that team who are here to make that happen. In other words, you're designing a movement. Folks talked about coalition building on the panel earlier this morning, and that's kind of the framing that I want us to think about going into today. Who are we as community organizers? If you don't love design, just put the design word away. All right. The most important thing I think anyone needs to know about a design process personally is that it is all about knowing when do we need to diverge because we're too focused and too narrow on a solution, and then when do we need to converge because we've got too many options and we are afraid to commit to one thing. So design does both open options for us and also give us small practical ways to test ideas before we commit all of our resources. So, a couple of helpful mindsets. Designers are great at being curious and knowing when they're making assumptions and saying, do I assume this to be true? Do I actually know this to be true? Or do I need to ask a question? Oh, I forgot I've got this right here. I don't even have to look up. Reframing, a very, very important power tool. When I'm looking at a situation and I keep looking at it the same, it keeps looking the same back at me. What happens if I move 1 degree or 3 degrees, or I get somebody else's perspective? Which leads to this term, this is Silicon Valley jargon, excuse me, radical collaboration, which is really just another way of saying talking to people who have perspectives and experiences that might be different from your own. So how might exposing yourself to the viewpoints of others help you see that problem differently? Being mindful of process, which is really the fancy term for what I said earlier. When are we looking too big and need to converge, and when are we looking too narrowly and need to widen? Having a bias toward action, which is really how might we introduce ourselves to the doing part when we get a little bit paralyzed in the thinking part, and what might we learn experientially from trying something? And lastly, storytelling. How does storytelling create opportunities for us, and how do the stories that we hear help us really empathize with the person that we're designing for? So, on a Post-it note, okay, let's talk about your supplies. Everyone at your table, there's a stack of Post-it notes, so please grab one. And with your pen, you don't have to grab the whole pad, just one is fine. With your pen, I'd like you to just take a minute and write down for yourself. One of these practices reminds us that you tend to find most easy to use, that comes to you most intuitively. Just write that one down. And then one that you might want to lean more heavily into using. Maybe one that feels hard or difficult. Maybe one that doesn't come easily. Maybe one that you want to use a little bit today. So just take a minute, note that down for yourselves. Keeping that in mind. So this morning we are going to start with the exercise of empathy, which is typically where a designer starts, understanding and accepting who we are and who we're designing for. So this is the exercise. I'm going to walk you through it. You've got a worksheet in your folder that you'll be using for this. So go ahead and grab your folders. So what you'll be doing in a minute, I'll just give you about 3-4 minutes. Everything's going to feel rushed, I'm sure, but it's amazing what you can generate in a few minutes. So in a minute, you're going to be answering these 4 questions. So this should be on the front page of the worksheet that you have. Okay, but before we begin, we're going to do something totally different. Now what I'd like you to do is you should all see on your table a bundle of clothespins. See how they look like little people? I call these pocket people. So go ahead and take one of those. Do you know what I forgot? I'm going to ask you for help. Can you grab the Sharpies in that box? And Anna, would you help just distribute Sharpies? Do you see them? They might be... Okay, good. While we're doing this, I'm waiting for some very important design tools called Sharpies. Here's what we're going to do right now, and then you're going to do what I'm going to ask you to do. So right now, I want you to get up from your table, and I want you to sit next to somebody that you are not sitting with. If you are at a table that has an odd number, I want you to find a person to partner with for the next 20 minutes. You can go anywhere you want, actually. You could look to the person next to you, but in the next 60 seconds, I want you to have a partner. It could be at your table. It could be somewhere else. Now, for the next minute, I want you to grab a Sharpie on your table. Hopefully there are enough Sharpies for each of you. Grab one from a different table if you don't have one. Okay? Anyone not have one? Okay. Or a pen. Or you could use stickers. This is what you're going to do for the next 1 minute. This was the blank side, This is your student. Who is the person that you are here representing, who you care about, whose needs you're trying to serve? I want you to spend just the next minute imagining and channeling any one of those students. It could be the student, it could be one of many, it could be your typical student, it could be the student who's atypical and needs the most support. Whatever it is, I want you to channel a persona of a student at your institution that you want to spend this day thinking about and serving. This round part is the head. You can draw a little body. I've drawn a little person. I've drawn an artist at Stanford because half of the Stanford population is a computer science student. So this is the person who doesn't feel like they belong. Okay. Do you know what you're doing for the next minute? You are drawing your student, just anybody that you feel like designing for today. And do whatever. And you do not have to be an artist for this. This is just a Sharpie and a piece of wood. Begin. You can do this individually, or you can talk to each other. That's okay. Just have a student in mind. Okay, thank you. It's okay if you're not done. The person doesn't have a full body. That's okay. You've got the symbol. All right, so here's what you're going to do now. I'd like you to take that worksheet, and I'm going to give you just about 3 minutes of quiet time with a little quieter background music. And I'd like you to just jot some bullet points down for those questions that are on the side there. What do I believe my students need, and how do I feel when I think about them or bring them to mind? Are there mindsets and beliefs I'd like to encourage in them or that I want to shift? What does my role allow me to do, or what do I need in order to do that? And what do I hope and wish for? Can you imagine answering these in 3 minutes? I can't either. But the point is, I just want to jog your thinking a little bit right now, and then you're just going to share with your partner whatever you feel comfortable sharing. So you're not going to share your writing. You don't need to share all of it, but in a moment, about 3 minutes, you'll exchange these stories. So share out loud what part of it you feel comfortable sharing. So for the next 3 minutes, you're just jotting some notes down. Okay, put down your last thoughts. Anywhere you stop is totally fine. All right. Okay, so I'm going to give you a quick protocol for how you'll do this conversation with each other. I'm going to give you about 12 minutes total, so about maybe 12, 13 minutes total, so about 4 minutes per person to speak. You're going to receive about 2 minutes of feedback from your listener, and then you're going to switch, and I will make sure to signal that switch moment so you're not feeling nervous about the time. So, speakers, you're going to share what you wrote. Don't worry about the timing up there. And this is really just an exercise that you can also take back to wherever you are. So I just want you to get a taste. So the speaker, you're going to share the answers to your questions, only what is feeling comfortable to share. The listener, you're going to use what's called the empathy map, that it's on page 2 of this set of worksheets. This is a kind of a complicated document, so I'm really offering it to you as a tool that you can use later. But the way that it will work is that there are 5 categories on there. So as your partner is just speaking through the answers, I want you to notice, are there thoughts? Are there feelings? Are there things they're saying? Are there things that this person is hearing? Are there things they might be doing that you are noticing in their story? So as the person is writing down, maybe you're like, oh, wow, they feel really encouraged or quite sad, right? Just write sad. Just write whatever feelings you are hearing in their story. You might notice some beliefs that they have or some thoughts that they're having about this process. Make a note of the thoughts, right? So essentially, in each of these boxes, you can just use this as a note-taking device. Just write whatever you want in here as you're listening. Again, this is a little bit complex for such a short amount of time, but I wanted to give you an opportunity essentially to really know the person and listen for who they are. And then you'll get to hear them talk, and then you'll reflect back what you're hearing. Anything. Couple of thoughts. Don't stress. Just note what you observe. It's fine. You're just going to listen and reflect. Some wording, if you hear them talk and there's a pause and you want to say, oh, can you tell me more about that? Can you say more about that? Maybe paint me a visual picture. And then finally, I want you to think about, this is probably the most important part. I want you to listen, to absorb as though you need to memorize this story that they're telling you. and then be able to reflect back what you hear. What I want you to avoid is trying to connect, even subconsciously, like, oh, that's happening at my institution. Oh God, I forgot about that email I need to write. I want you to just really listen. You don't have to make this what is common to me as well, right? This is not a moment to connect. This is just a moment to reflect. Okay. All right. So I'm going to signal for you. So the other thing is, who's going first? Person with the shortest sleeves. Terrible prompt in the winter. Everyone's got long sleeves. So decide quickly who's going to go first. Hopefully you've introduced yourselves already. Okay, so no music. All right, so you're going to start now. I'm going to give you about 4 minutes as speaker one. Just share your thoughts. Listener, after 4 minutes, you're going to share what you hear back in any of those particular categories. We'll switch. I'll tell you when 4 minutes are up. Go ahead and begin. This is the most painful part. Start wrapping up. If you can hear my voice, clap once. If you can hear my voice, clap twice. If you can hear my voice, clap 4 times. Okay, now just give yourself a round of applause. Thank your partner. All right, remember you have all day to talk to each other after this. So if you have a really burning thought, hold it for lunch. Okay, here's what I'd like you to do now after you've thanked your partner for listening so carefully. Okay, just take 1 minute now, and on this first worksheet where you are writing your own notes, on the right-hand column, giving you 45 seconds to a minute, what were your noticings? What did you notice about sharing? How did that feel? Did you actually notice any themes or patterns? Was there something that surprised you or even delighted you? Take a minute, jot that down. I'm going to wrap here. I'm going to point you now to just one other resource that you can just use for the rest of the day. We'll come back to it. We may not even have time for it. So I want to point out to you page 3 in your packet. I'm not going to walk through it. It's pretty self-explanatory. I want you to just use it. It's a worksheet for you to be kind of taking notes throughout the rest of the day and even about things you heard this morning. If you were to move a well-being effort with purpose through your institution, starting today, what might be some of the things you need? So who are the people you might have to partner with? Where might you get resources? What spaces do you need? So it's just kind of a canvas of brainstorms and thoughts and places you can put for the rest of the day as you're hearing data, as you're hearing more stories and so on. We'll come back to it in the afternoon, but just wanted to let you know it's there if it helps organize your thoughts in any way. Okay, with that, I'll see you in the afternoon. Okay.